Today, for this information session relating to CPA, we have two presenters, myself and Mr. Benjamin Wong. I'm thankful to Mr. Benjamin joining us in this webinar because we will be having a lot of hand-on information from him and wherever required. And this presentation would be in English, so my friend Ben can understand as well everything. But you people are allowed to ask questions even in local language, in Urdu, I mean. So if you feel comfortable. So this is going to be our, you can, let's complete the presentation and please note your question. So we'll take all of your questions you see at the end. This is the protocol of this presentation. Okay, so our today's agenda is about US CPA and the CPA qualification path, process of becoming US CPA. I will looking at the first 3 points, and then Mr. Ben will be taking on to the uniform US CPA exam and preparing for US CPA exam, and why for that the backer should be your partner. And at the end, for a couple of minutes, I will be looking at the cost side of this qualification. Okay, unlike the other professional qualification, this the qualification US CPA is granted by not by the AICPA, which is the professional body in US, but rather by the State Board of Accountancy. They are 55 state boards and jurisdictions. Each state has their own regulation and the power to govern the professional, certified professional accountant. Typically, there are 3 E's which are involved to gain this qualification. One is education, second is examination, third is experience. As far as the education is concerned, the different requirements by different professional, by different state boards. So some we're looking at the education quite detailed. Some also have a certain other condition like age, citizenship, residency, and social security numbers, and the independent individual tax numbers. And certain states do not have such a requirement. We'll be looking at that in detail as well. So, but the the exams are uniform, so which are acceptable or which are applicable to all states. Okay, the same uniform exams are there. And I can give you the example. If you get registered with Alaska, you can take exam anywhere, internationally as well. Maybe you are going to New York, you can take the exams in New York. You don't have to go to Alaska, Montana, and Illinois, wherever you will be in America and Canada, you can take the exam there and also internationally as well. So to obtain the license, one has to have certain period experience, which also varies from state to state. Two things vary from state to state. One is the education and the additional requirement, and the second is the experience, length and nature of experience that can vary from state to state. So basically, the qualification progression path is professional content like from Pakistan, SCA or ICMAP, or any business graduate with a 4-year graduation can take 4 papers and with the 1-year experience can become US CPA. Once you become the US CPA, so the qualification has arrangement, NASPA and AICPA have arrangement, mutual recognition arrangement with a certain charter accountancy body. You can get the qualification of that body as well. And I mentioned the experience the requirement like in UK, maybe Scotland. You, you may have to So you don't have to have experience requirement to meet. If you are just becoming their member and you are not going to go into practice, if you want to go into practice, then they have their own requirement for that. Maybe you have to take some paper as well of that body. Like in Canada, I can say you need to pass a reciprocity exam if you want to practice there. Otherwise, they don't ask for any exam. Just you have to review tax and law, and uh, that is online, and you don't have to have a formal exam. So basically, if you are US CPA, you can become a member of 6, 7 Institute of Chartered Accountant in the world, and or you also have an option to become the member of CGMA, and just by taking a one strategic case study exam, nothing else. So this is the progression path actually involving the US CPA. So basically, the thing to underline is 4 papers and just 1 year experience, as compared to the more than 15, 16, sometimes 20, 21 papers of a professional qualification, and then the experience of 3.5 year or 3 years. So this is not the case with US CPA. Okay. The 4 organizations you have to deal as a student. One is the AICPA, which I already said is the professional organization of CPA in US, and their role is developing and securing the exam, right? And the State Board of Accountancy are the body which regulate the accounting profession and serve as the licensing body for CPA. License is due on state by state basis, and this exam of US CPA uniform exam is a function as a tool that help the state boards to fulfill their regulatory responsibility. The NASBA is basically the association of all state board of accountancy, and they coordinate their activities, and also they maintain candidate database, and it's also provide a forum for regulator and practitioner to address various issues relevant to profession. So fourth body, you as a student and member have to deal, as a student particularly, the ProMatric. ProMatric is responsible for delivering the exam to approved test center of ProMatric. Every ProMatric center is not approved test center for CP exam. There's a selected ProMatric center which are approved to take US CP exam, and they are also responsible for scheduling the candidate test appointment, holding the exam, and returning the result to the AICPA for their scoring and reviewing purpose. There are 4 bodies as a student you have to deal with. Okay, so basically the 3 I can tell you. As a member, you have to deal with the board, and also you will be the member of the AICPA. But as a student, you have the state board, the NASBA, and the ProMatric. Okay. So there's the same relationship chalked out here, candidate, NASBA, ProMatric, and the State Board of Accountancy, and the AICPA. AICPA role is just the providing the exam and vetting the score of a student passing the exam. So basically, why USCPA is the next point here. The this qualification is a globally recognized qualification and provide to the holder of this qualification diverse opportunity for working with accounting firms, for PPOs, the US companies operating even globally, and also companies listed, and also subsidy of those companies which are listed on US stock exchanges. Normally, the service of CPA are required by them as an employee, as the finance controller, and maybe as an auditor. And this qualification gives you the very strong knowledge of US GAAP, and also tax knowledge of US, federal tax knowledge of US. And many CPAs are reaching their retirement age, and the opportunities very large, high for new qualified CPAs. And there's a reciprocity arrangement, as I already mentioned, with the SEMA for the CGMA, and for other accounting professional body, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Scotland, Ireland, South Africa. So there's you can see on these slides, certain positions are being advertised and very attractive remuneration, role, and responsibilities are being offered. Now, question is how to become US CPA. There are 4 steps actually. Basically on my next slide, I'll talk about 5 steps. There is also 5 steps. The last one at the end is the study with the education partner. In our case, we say Becker. So there are 5 steps. The step number 1 is meeting the education requirement. As I already mentioned, that the education requirement to take exam is different and varies state by state. But as a foreigner, as a foreign student, foreign graduation holder, or professional qualification holder, the first thing is having your foreign academic evaluation. And for that, you normally use NASBA. There are other evaluation companies as well, which are approved by certain states. But the NASBA is the one which generally acceptable by every state board. And the second step I mentioned it is study with the Becker. So you don't have to go for applying for examination at this stage because you should apply for examination when you are quite ready or near to ready to take exam because the authorization to schedule your exam is provided you with the validity of around 6 months. So you should be taking the exam within the next 6 months. Otherwise, you have to re-register for the exam. So it's better you start preparing for exam, and when you think in the next 3 to 4 months, you would be ready to take exam of certain section. You can at that time apply for examination with the state board, and we'll talk about examination later on. And the third step is schedule your exam. Once you are issued the notice to schedule exam by the NASBA, and then you can schedule your exam, pay your fee, and schedule your exam. You have to pay the fee at this stage. The earlier fee paid is just a small amount for registering with the State Board of Accountancy. But here in the blue part, you pay the exam fees of the exam you are going to take, for which you have the notice to schedule exam. So at that time, when you schedule the exam, after that you need to prepare for your travel because these exams are not available in Pakistan. I'll talk about where these exams are available. And the fourth thing is take the exam. And if you pass the exam, so then add your work experience. And I will talk about the work experience as well later on. Add the education if there was any shortcoming or gap because you have taken the exam with under 20 credit hour, under 30 credit hour. But to get a license, you have to have at least under 50 credit hour. You can add at that time the more credit. Normally, people ask me, they have, let's say, under 20, under 25 credit hour, how they are going to add the remaining. So we say there are a lot of many ways to do that. Worry about adding at this stage. First, pass the exam. If you don't first pass the exam, there's no need for additional credit hours. So first take the exam. You have a 3 4 year to add the remaining missing credit hours. Okay, so there are 4 steps, 5 steps. I already mentioned the same 5 steps, like the having the evaluation. Step number 2 is study for the exam, and the step 3 is applying for examination, registration with the state board, and then step 4 is scheduling your exam on the basis of notice to schedule exam, and then fifth part is on passing. You have to take a ethics exam, and you have to add more education if required. You have to obtain the work experience and apply for lessons. This is the fifth step. These 5 steps already explained on the earlier slide as well. As for education requirement is concerned, I told you this varies from state to state, and you have to meet the minimum education requirement. to apply for exam. And general rule is 150 credit hours are required, and which is equivalent to 5 year the university or college education. Is, in other words, let me say it's a post graduation, because many countries have 4 year, like Pakistan has 4 year graduation, and then the master is between 1.5 year to 2 year. In certain countries, the master, the postgraduate is 1 year of duration. So they do have to have specific number of accounting credit hour and specific number of business credit hour, normally 24 plus 24, but it also vary from state to state slightly. And some state have a lower number of accounting credit hours requirement. It's a bachelor plus degree, and some state allow the candidate to sit exam with lesser education, like under 20, and without even graduation. A couple of states allow you to go for without just have under 20 credit hour, even they are not covered with the graduation, covered by a graduation, you can go for that. But ultimately, you have to have this 150 credit hour graduation plus. So you can do the top up, missing credit hour you can add later on, as I said, and the non-US evaluation has to evaluate it by approved foreign academic evaluation agency, and NASBA is generally acceptable by every state for that. Selection of state is very important. So, but the agreement, which means CPA is good enough. Good CPA is valid for every CPA passing exam is valid in every state. So, if you are just going for job within US, or you're going to work outside US, it's not important which state the CPA designation you hold. It's a very valid. So, Board of Accountancy requires some time additionally, requirement of Social Security number, US residency, US citizenship, but not all the states require that. There are certain states which do not require that. So we normally advise the student to go for those states. So we recommend, last I say, we recommend the student to go to the state where their current qualification or education is acceptable for taking the exam. Actually, this is the our basis of it. Because let me tell you, some people come to me and say they want to go to New York State. So I say, hey, you are a chartered accountant of Pakistan. You don't have a 3 credit hour in accounting research, and you don't have a 3 credit hour in the let's say the government accounting. So therefore, you will not be accepted by those states which require this kind of credit hour. So we advise them which state would be good for them to on the basis of their current qualification. So here I give you the example of the Washington state has the requirement. Two things you can see: exam and lessons. You can see two part of this slide. As far as exam is concerned, how many credit hours are required? Washington requires 120 credit hours. Uh, so 24 should be accounting. Among these 24, 15 should be upper level. Like it should not be fundamental, principle of accounting, principle of auditing. They are all basic, they are not included. Montana has 24 credit hours, but all should be in the upper accounting, right? So basically, this is also an aspect we look at when we source the people, the state. So 24 business credit hours. Business credit is not normally the problem for a professional accountant. Okay, so graduation is required by Washington, and I'll show you the Pakistani two qualification. The CA Pakistan and ICMA CMA Pakistan meet this requirement of graduation. And certain state, maybe one or two state allow you, if you have a 120 credit hour within under, or you can have these accumulated within the 150 day of completing the education requirement. So you are eligible to take exam. Graduation is not required. But when you go to the licensing stage, if you look at the Washington, you need to have under 50 credit hour, and there should be a graduation plus. And also in Guam as well now, you need to have under 50 credit hour and has to be a part of your graduation plus. And coursework required is, as I mentioned earlier, how many credit hour in accounting, how many credit hour in the business. Accounting, we said 15 should be upper level. I have had a student who applied for Montana, and Montana told him that his upper level accounting credit hour 16.5. He's missing something like 7.5 credit hour upper level. So then I advised him go to Washington because Washington only requires 15 upper level credit hour. So this should be decided at the time of applying. So this cost him $120 extra dollar for having the evaluation for other states. You see, you have to pay for that. But since you don't have to pay everything, you have to pay that additional fee, which is $120. I'll show you later on. So basically, this stage is very important. Which state you need to have, like Illinois, which is normally you say Chicago is the main city of that. That need under 50 credit hour. Michigan need under 50 credit hour. Montana need under 20 credit hour. We have all the knowledge of the requirement state by state, and we guide the student accordingly. Also, work experience is also different. Like Washington need only 1 year work experience, and Guam need 1 or 2 year work experience, depending whether you have a accounting concentration or non-accounting concentration. Also, experience also varies. Some state say it should be in a public accounting practice. Some say it could be in a business. Some say it could be in a public sector. Some say even it could be in academia. So this is a variation except in the experience as well. The requirement also varies from state to state, and we also guide student on that. Let's look at Pakistan position. ICAP first. So ICAP, a qualified person who is even not a member but is a qualified of CA program, and he normally get 126 to 128 or 129 credit hours. Or just a thumb rule is ICAP has 21 subjects normally, and into six come to 126. Some casework required extra credit hour in decimal extra, and but it's a comfortable to say that a qualified person is eligible to take exam and meets the upper level credits, meets the total accounting credit hour, meets the business number of credit hour. Like accounting, they get nearly 66 credit hour, out of which only 13.5 credit hour are lower level, introductory level. Rest are upper level. In business, they get around again 61 credit hour, and there's no upper and lower situation or requirement is there. And even, let me tell you, even the ICAP qualified person who don't have any other graduation with them, they are eligible to take exam, US CPA exam. Okay, so this is the ICM position. So they get around 120 credit hours. Okay, and again, in accounting, 46 credit hour, out of which 11.75 is introductory and lower level, rest are upper level, requirement of any state. In business, they get 74.75 credit hours, so they are also eligible to take exam of USCP, and they have to, both qualification holder have to add up, top up to get the license by coming up to the 150 or more credit hour. So there are many ways to add up this shortfall, this missing credit hour. Like University of Lahore has a special program which is called postgraduate diploma program with 30 credit hour are there, which can be completed in 32 weeks. So therefore, this is not a problem. Missing credit hour is not, you can have it in many ways to have them on your account. Okay, and For an exam evaluation audit, say you need to have a evaluation done. When student have to look at whether his current education make him eligible to take exam, sit for exam, board of accounting which he is choosing. We normally assist student in this process. Okay. Then for applying, they have to open up their register their accounts at NASBA, with the NASBA International Valuation Services, and the link is provided here. And then they have to send them the original transcript in a sealed envelope or through an official email to NASBA. And some universities in Pakistan is not to be the verified higher education commission. It has to be verified by the university, has to be sent by the university's sealed envelope, okay, or by the university through their official email to the NASBA International Evaluation Services. Here we also guide the student how to obtain the verification of their the degree, depending on the university from which they got the degree. Normally, I tell you, the private university in Pakistan are very much cooperating. They send these degrees or transcript immediately within a couple of days to the but the public sector university, some of them, the large public sector university, they take a lot of time, like sometime nearly 3 to 4 weeks they take uh, for sending this document. But they don't send by email. They send in a sealed envelope. So again, the postage days are more to be added. So once all the documents are received by the NASBA, it takes about 8 weeks to give the result of the evaluation. Okay. As I already mentioned here, I was trying to change this the slide, but could not. The current fees charged by NASBA for evaluation is $240. Okay. And sometimes they say, if you have not decided about the jurisdiction, you can apply for evaluation by saying you have not decided the jurisdiction. They charge you for 350. Mind you, the 350 is the extra. Once you choose it, they provide you the option of 2 to 3 states which are going to accept your qualification according to which they are working. They give the name of 2 to 3 state board, and then you have to choose one of them, and again have to pay $240. So people who get our advice, they save the $350. Otherwise, I saw few students who applied for undecided jurisdiction, and then they have to pay extra. At that time was the 225. So another point which is important here is if change in jurisdiction, like I said, my student got the evaluation for NASBA, and NASBA was saying, no, Montana was saying you need to have a 24 credit hour, which should be upper accounting credit hour. So he was having the deficiency in that. So I said, okay, we can go to Washington State, and for that we have to pay $120 to the NASBA. We don't have to provide any other documentation to NASBA. Just say them on the basis of already information provided, please change the jurisdiction. And NASBA normally has to send the one copy to the state you have selected, their evaluation directly, and one copy comes to you. So this is if you any one time want a duplicate copy of your assessment or evaluation, and you pay $25. Okay, let me tell you another thing. You need this evaluation 2 stages. Stage number one is for examination, and stage number two is when you are applying for the license. Okay. Then I told you the third step is after you get near ready to take your exam, you have to apply for the examination to the state. So there is a CPA portal provided by NASBA. You get registered there and then choose the state for whose examination you are applying for. And you apply for exam, and you pay $150 at that stage, not more than that, okay? So then you start process of giving you the acceptability, eligibility, and then giving you the permission to schedule your exam at the NASBA portal. That start later. So first thing is applying for examination to the state you have chosen and you are thinking of. So this is through this CPA portal of NASPA. Okay, like you have applied to one state, let's say California. They will issue the authorization to schedule exam, and that will be valid for 9 months. But mostly state is valid. There's eligibility, the registration, your registration with the state is typically for 6 months. But there are few states more than 6 months, like in California, allow you for 9 months to schedule your exam. It's valid for 9 months. Okay. So once you pass one module, there are four modules. Mr. Ben Wong will be covering that. So you pass one section, one module, you have to pass the rest three also within 30 months. Otherwise, five for principal applied. What you pass earliest, that will expire after 13 months. It used to be 18 months. Good news is now 13 months. I don't have experience that any of my students got got affected by the rule of 18 months even. So 30 months is very, very reasonable time for a serious student who is committed to take exam in time. So it's not a much challenging thing there. Now, good news is has increased from 18 months to 30 months. Okay, so you can take the exam internationally as well. There's eligibility table. If you want to take exam of these four states, they are not holding the exam internationally. The rest of our 51 states and jurisdictions are holding exam internationally. Okay, so like here, you look at the US and Canada is called the local exam. Difference is for the local exam center, you don't have to pay international testing surcharge, which is a quite a big amount. I'll talk about that later on. Okay, so Canada and the US is considered the local exam center in these countries, and anyone can take the exam there. Anyone, okay, on a visit visa, uh, a person is there living there, so you can take the exam. Okay. So then come the Middle East. You can see 7 countries in the Middle East, but they have put there the list of countries whose citizens or long-term resident can take exam there, even by visit. Like Pakistan is the third column. On top of the third column, you can see that Pakistan on visit visa even go to these countries and take exam there. Okay, and then come the Europe. There are 3 countries of the Europe: the England, Scotland, the UK, and then the Ireland, then the Germany. Anyone can go and take exam there. There's also not a list of countries there. India and Nepal. You can see of the country, and Bangladesh is allowed to go there in Nepal or India, and you can see the Pakistan is not in that list. Pakistan is only have the option to go to Middle East or to US, Canada, or Europe. So in India, I learned there are 8 cities. They have the formatic approved center for examination. A lot of people from India are taking the USCP exam. One of the reason may be the large number of PPO in that country. Then the Israel also, the Israel people and the US people can take exam there. And then you can see the Brazil, which is South American country, a whole list, a long list of country whose resident and long-term resident can go take exam there. Then Japan and South Korea, and there's also a list of the countries whose resident and long-term resident citizen can go and take the exam there. Okay. So now we come to applying for license. Okay. So need to pass all the 4 uniform exam, and Mr. Ben would be telling you which 4 exam, and then you have to meet the deficiency in their education, if any. And then you need to meet the work experience requirement. Experience, international experience is also acceptable. It has to be verified by US CPA and sometimes has to be supervised by US CPA. Okay. So we normally go for the state which accept the international experience and also verified by CPA. And another thing I tell you, the NASBA also have a service called the experience verification. You have paid them the fee, they submit them the experience as per the requirement, detail of that. They can also evaluate your experience, and their evaluation would be valid. And so experience is not a big problem for professional content. And also, a graduate can also have this. If they have experience on their account, they can have it evaluated, verified by CPA. So you need to complete ethics course if required, and mostly is required by the state or by this course of the ethics offered by the AI CPA. And you have to pay the license fees, and you have to continue to maintain 120 CP credit hour over the rolling period of 3 years. And then on this, if any question, please note that question because I want to hand over now to my friend the Ben. And Ben, would you like to run your own presentation? Yeah, Ben, can you hear me? What's up?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear
Would
you.
you like to
Yes.
run your own presentation? You will share your own presentation. You will continue with this same presentation.
Yeah. Why don't you we just continue with yours if you don't mind?
Yeah. Continue, continue. I let me know.
The
I'll show you the this.
okay.
You can let me know when
Sure.
you want me the next slide.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So hi everyone. So very nice to meet you. Greetings from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yeah, I think thank you, Mr. Maqbool, talking about all this exam applications requirements and all that because he's so knowledgeable. So he's been doing it for what 15, 16 years now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, personally, I've been working for Becker for just past 16 years. So, and before that, I was in accounting and finance industry for a number of years. Just allow me to share my personal stories, why I got my CPA, US CPA. So actually, when I did my US CPA, I was in Canada. Actually, I moved to Canada after I finished my university in Hong Kong back in 1984. It's been a while. Um, so when I first moved to Canada, so I was trying to become our CPA, Canadian CPA. So honestly, it took me a while to get my CPA Canada. So if I remember correctly, it took me about 3.5, 4 years to finish all my CPA Canada exams, right? So, and during that time, I was working for small companies, startup companies, doing all kind of accounting. So by the time I finished my CPA Canada, I was basically a financial controller for smaller companies. I thought I was doing pretty well, right? So, and of course, after you get your CPA qualifications, you want to basically test it out yourself and see how well you're doing and whether yourself is marketable. So I think actually I went to a headhunter and trying to find a better job, right? So, and when I first approached the headhunters, and of course he asked me how much I was making and what kind of job are you getting and what's your expectations, like why do I move, and all these kind of questions, right? So and honestly I told them I want to get a better job because now I'm a CPA Canada, back in those days CGA. And then the first response he gave me was, okay, so you're making pretty good money, you had a decent job, and there's a lot of CPA in Canada, CPA Canada, looking for jobs. So, what makes you kind of outstanding? What makes you different from all the other candidates I have? When I look at my experience, when I look at my background, yeah, he was right. Basically, yeah, my experience is pretty much the same as everyone else, right? So, and what make me different from my competitors? So, and basically, I was so disappointed because I basically spent 3.5 years of my time getting my CPA qualifications, I thought I would be able to like get a pretty good job with a promotions with a higher pay, but at the end of the day, I didn't really get nothing. I stayed at the same job. I got paid the same, no different. So, and basically out of of accidents, I came across an advertisement talking about okay, US CPA exams or US CPA um, that could be available for us. So I saw that ad on the CPA Canada magazine and basically apply and try to become a US CPA. So basically on that same ad, it said you can actually become a US CPA within 6 months to a year. So compared to the 3.5 years I spent, I thought that was pretty good. And also, U.S. market is a lot bigger than the Canadian market, like many times bigger. I thought, okay, so yeah, why not just do that? You know what? Actually, after I become a U.S. CPA, um, basically the window opened up. So all of a sudden, like my experience or my qualifications are recognized by not just the Canadian companies, but also the US companies operating in Canada, and also a lot of the Canadian companies that are listed in the US, right? So, and then before long, I was able to find a better job, better positions, working for uh, actually a Chinese company, but listed publicly listed in the US on Nasdaq. So, but one after the other. So like after that, I have of course my resume kind of changed. Now I have the U.S. public company experience. I'm a U.S. CPA. I'm a Canadian CPAs. But basically that opened up my all kind of opportunities. So I started working for startup companies, trying to list it in the U.S. and then work for a U.S. company, U.S. listed company, all that. So I think that kind of opened up like a pretty good opportunity for me. So I saw in the chat just somebody asked, okay, if I'm a CA in Pakistan or CMA in Pakistan, so what's in it for me, right? So why do I need a US CPA, right? So same reason, right? So how do you differentiate your competitors basically in front of the employer, right? So and also when you're trying to compete on the international opportunities, US CPA definitely will give you a pretty good edge, right? So now, after my my personal stories, let's go back to the exams, right? So, like the USCPA exams. So I think it's 100% computer based. It's on-demand exams. It's available, I would say, pretty much throughout the year. So they don't have a set exam window. And the exams, Mohammed said, right? So the exam is held in the U.S. territories and some international locations. So the newest additions to the testing locations is Philippines. So they just announced it July 1st. Okay, exam format, there's only two type of questions. One is MCQ, which is multiple choice questions, and TBS, which is task-based simulations. So a lot of people ask, like, what's task-based simulations? Never heard of it. Basically, it's just short questions or short cases. So, but there's like a whole bunch of different type of questions. So one of those questions are the research-based simulations, right? So, but all these questions are objective-based questions. It means so you don't really have to write essays. You all you need to do is like pick the answers out of a few choices or many choices or do calculations and put in the general entries or things like that. Okay, so and the exam is 100% computed. So because it's objective based questions, so the computers is able to actually grade the exams. So and then you need 75% to pass the exams. So 50% of the score is on MCQ, 50% of the score is on TBS. Okay, like again, uh, like Mr. Mabu said just now, right? So exam score will expire after 30 months, or you just have to repeat the sessions expired, right? So, but one good thing about Washington State, I guess I don't know if you we mentioned it earlier. Washington State is the only state that offer 36 months expiry. No, not even like it's actually better than 30 months. But again, this is like very reasonable. So I don't expect you to spend like 3 years to finish this exams. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the four exams, right? So So you need to do 3 core exams and 1 of the discipline exams. It's like 3 plus 1. Okay, what are the 3 core exams? Auditing, financial accounting and reporting, taxations, and regulations. So all these exams, they have this abbreviations for that, right? So auditing, AUD, FAR, REG. So that's the 3 core exams. And then also you have to pass 1 of the discipline or specialization exams. The first one, BAR, business analysis and reporting, tax compliance and planning, or information system and controls. So you only need to do 1 of the 3 discipline exams. But by the time you finish all 4 exams, if you get your CPA licensures, it's no difference. So regardless of which discipline exams you took to get your CPA, so there's no difference. They won't call you like like TCP CPA or ISC CPA. It's all the same. And also in terms of the sequence, so when you want to take the first exams, when you want to take the last exam, it doesn't really matter. So you can even start with the discipline exams if you want to. Of course, it's not really recommended. So or you can actually do like AUD first or REG first. Basically, any sequence would do. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's go through the individual exams like together. Okay, so I think the exams has a few topic areas. Okay, and they also kind of divided into like 4 skill level, right? So the 4 skill levels are remembering, understanding, applications, analysis, and evaluations, right? So, and out of the 6 exams we're talking about here, right? So, only auditing will test you on the evaluation skill level. Okay, so let's start with the financial accounting. Okay, so there are 3 topic areas. Okay, so they're 100% testing you on US GAAP, no IFRS, right? So understand most of the people these days, right? So like they don't work in the US or they don't study educated in the US. So so they may not have they probably only have the IFRS knowledge, right? But this is only US GAAP. Right? So the test is only on US GAAP. But the good thing about US GAAP and IFRS is the difference is not really that significant. Okay, so whatever you learn in school will help you with this. Okay, so first topic, financial reporting. Second, select balance sheet accounts. And 3, select transactions. So as you may know, right, so the exam kind of changed in 2024. So some of the more difficult areas from the old financial accounting reporting sections have been moved out, right? So if you're with the accountants, if you're talking about like pension accounting, these topics are pretty difficult, right? So they got moved away from financial accounting and to the other sections. We'll just talk about that later. So the study time that you need is about 80 to 100 hours based on our estimate, right? So, but this is more for the American students. So assuming you already have a foundation of intermediate and advanced accounting courses, so you probably need about 80 to 100 hours. But for international students, I would suggest you spend a bit more time on that. Next slide, please. Okay, so next one is auditing, AUD. Like I said, right, so AUD is it only exams that test you on the evaluation skills. Like if you work in audit or if you study audit before, you understand what I'm talking about. Basically, you have to do evaluations based on your testing results, right? Okay, so but the US auditing standards is they already adopted the international auditing standards. So whatever you learned again in Pakistan will be very similar to what they're testing you from the US on the US CPA exams. So the only difference is, of course, the professional responsibilities. It could be different because in the US, if you audit a public company, there's a whole bunch of regulations on the auditors, right? So based on Sarbanes-Oxley, and also the audit report will be different. But in terms of the methodologies, sampling, and all that, it would be the same. So again, the expected study time is between 180 to 100 hours. Next slide, please. Okay, the third core exams is the last core exams is REG, okay, regulations. But basically, they're testing you on taxations and regulations. So out of these exams, right, about 70% of that is taxations. They're only testing you on federal taxations. They're not going to tax you on state tax, right? Because if they do test you on a state tax, this is going to be very complex because, like, 50 states in the U.S. and 5 jurisdictions, it could get really, really complex. But anyway, so they're only testing you on the federal taxations. Again, they're not testing you as a tax specialist. So the tax knowledge that you need for this exam, I would say, is quite basic, right? So, and also they will test you on the business law and the professional responsibility as a tax preparer, right? Okay, so 80 to 100, 80 to 100 hours of study time expected on this one. So next slide, please. Okay, so after we finish the core exams, so we come to discipline specializations. The first one we talk about is BAR, the business analysis and reporting. As you may know, right? So now, as an accountant, we're moving not away, but we're moving also into the area of non-financial reporting. So basically, business analysis and reporting is something to touch on that area. In addition to some more advanced financial accounting concepts and theory. Okay, so the 3 topics they're testing you on, like business analysis, some technical accounting and reporting, and the state and local government tax, right? So that's something I would say even the American students, most of our international students have never exposed to, right? So if you do want to take these exams, I do highly recommend you to spend more time on that. But of course, within our system and content, we assume you have no previous knowledge on this, right? So we'll teach you from basically from scratch. Okay, so out of all the 6 exams we're talking about here, right? So this exam, the BAR, has the highest amount of content, right? And that's the reason why, in terms of the expected study time, it actually has the most. It's between 100 to 120 hours of study. Next slide, please. Okay, the next one, information system and controls. So ISC. So like, I think this is how AICPA see the knowledge required as an accountant, right? So like everybody knows now, as an accountant, not only do you need to know the accounting knowledge and experience, you also have to have some good understanding about technologies and sometimes even hands-on experience in terms of the technologies, right? So it's you're just not just talking about like auditing um, financial data. You also have to do like internal control. You have to test like maybe the systems and all that. Okay, so with that, so here come the new exams by AICPA. So they're testing you on, okay, number 1, information systems and data management, right? Everybody knows like data, big data, data analytics is so important for accountants, not just accountants, but all kind of career professions. And also you need to understand securities, confidentialities, and privacy for data. And the last one is the SOC engagement. So it's basically that's the internal control audit requirements. So expect you learn something about this on the ISC. So in terms of the content, this exam is pretty light because it's a new exams. They don't really have a lot of content on this. So that's why you can see the expected study time is about 86 to 80 hours. So if you think you're quite good with data or IT, right? So internal control. So this could be a good exam for you to sit for, right? So 60 to 80 hours compared to 100 to 120 hours of BAR. So this is pretty light. Next slide, please. Okay, the last exam, TCP, tax compliance and planning. So this is basically for almost like a tax specialist, right? So you expect to be able to basically look at scenarios and try to come up with a tax plan for your client, right? So, but of course, the content again is not that much, So the study time is between 6 to 80 hours. But if unless you have been working in the U.S. tax, I don't recommend you to do this because they would also not just tax you on federal tax, they will also like test you on some of the state tax as well. So this would be more for um, tax specialists in this case. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the newest passing rate, right? So, like I said before, right? So, like the exams was changed like in 2024. So the core exams are new, the discipline exams are new, and that's why like we may not be doing a apple to apple comparisons on the core exams. So, but yet just give you some idea. So the exam for the passing rate for the individual exams is always around 45 to 65%. Right. As you can see, like from 2021 to Q1 2024, the core exams is around that range, right? So with the exam change in 2024, we don't see much change. Okay. BAR, ISC, basically that's the first quarter results, right? So as you can see, TCP exam, the passing rate is at 82%. A lot of people think, oh, wow, this is an easy exam, just go for it. So my theory is, right, so the people who are doing the TCP exams, very likely they're the tax specialists, right? So they are they have very much a lot of experience in the U.S. tax, and that's why they're doing so well, right? So don't get fooled by these numbers. So again, unless you are good with the U.S. tax, I don't recommend you to go for a TCP. But otherwise, it's about 50% passing rate for each individual sections. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the testing schedules and the score release schedules, right? So I'm not going to go through everything, but what I want to tell you is for 2024, because the core exam basically is the same as the last core exams, and that's why the core exams, they're pretty much available throughout the year, except like the 5 or 4 days of towards the end of each quarter. But the discipline exams, because it's a new exams, I think AICPA want to test it out. So they don't make this discipline exams available the first month. They make like the first month available for the discipline exams, right? So, but I don't think it would affect you that much. But because most of the people would do the core exam first. Next slide, please. Okay. Then now we'll talk about why Becker, right? So one thing that I think Mr. Maqbool talk about is so for now your focus should be okay. Number one, whether you're eligible for exams, right? So if we have 120 credit hours, so you pretty much will be able to sit for the exams, right? And then then the second focus is pass exams, right? And worry about the license later, right? I think that's what you need to do. So, and why Becker, right? So like Becker, pretty much we own like the majority of the CPA market, like domestically in the U.S. and also internationally. Right? So, if you have friends who work for the Big Four, the Global 7, Global 10 accounting firms in the U.S., if you check with them, they'll probably tell you that their firms use Becker. So we've been around over 60, actually 65 years. So over this last 60 plus years, so we help over 1 million candidates to prepare for the CPA exams. So the top 100 accounting firms in the US all use Becker. Okay. And since 2005, so AICPA has been giving out a What Sales Award to the top scorers for the AICPA, for the CPA exams. So basically, if you get on the first attempt, if you actually get an average of 95.5 uh, for all the 4 exams, so you'll receive that What Sales Award from AICPA. Right. So, but since 2005, over 90% of the What Sales Award winners are Becker alumni. Right. So, and I'm happy to tell you that like 2023, 98% of the What Sales Award winners are Becker students. Okay. And also like globally, We work with like close to 3,000 organizations in terms of preparing their staff to become a CPA. Okay, so the next one is, okay, so we have terms called exam day ready within our software. So what's exam day ready? So it means, so they have, so you finish 80% of our lectures, right? Okay, you finish and answer correctly 80% of the questions within our software, and you score 50% or more on the simulated exams. That means you're exam day ready. So when you're exam day ready, what does that mean? Uh, okay, so based on our research, it's not just our research. We use a third party to do this research, right? So, and so based on the research we did, so 90 they basically when the students are exam day ready, the passing rate for each individual sections is 94%. You look at that compared to the 45 or 50% that um, the global average. So we almost double the numbers. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's what we offer in terms of the Becker CPA review. So we don't like a Becker is not a publisher, so we don't sell books. So we offer a coaching system to our students. Basically, within the coaching system, it has everything the student need to prepare for the exams. Right, so it's online 100%. So it's basically you can study anytime, anywhere, and you can also use your mobile device like your cell phone, your iPad to prepare. And the exam's 100% exam focused and up to date, right? So what does that mean, or why is that so important? Okay, um, exam do change from time to time. Like basically, whenever there's a new accounting standard or new tax rule changed, um, so 6 months after the effective date, AICPA can actually include that in the CPA exam and become testable. And that's why we have to update our content on a continuous basis, right? And our students will get the latest content through our software. Okay, in terms of instructions, so we have two types of lectures. Number one, of course, the concept lectures will teach you about the accounting theory, the concepts, tax law, regulations, and all that. Okay, so in addition to that, we also offer a skill builder videos. So what's skill builder videos? So like I said, right, so we have two types of questions, the TBS and multiple choice questions. So the multiple choice questions, I think a lot of people have exposed to before, previously through a university or high school. But the TBS, I think, unless you have taken the CPA exams before, you probably have never seen the TBS questions before, right? So, and that's why for each of the TBS questions we have in our software, we pair it up with a skill builder videos. So the skill builder videos is a short videos, anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes long, delivered by our American instructors, basically teaching you how to approach those questions and maximize your points and score on those questions. Very popular, a lot of people like it, and it's very effective. Again, also it comes with some other resources. So as homework questions, you have the minute test, you have the unlimited practice test, you have the simulated exams, which essentially is the mock exams. So it comes with 3 simulated exams per part. So it has basically all the questions you needed to basically get yourself like best prepared for the CPA exams. Next slide, please. Okay, so we also come with AI technologies, right? So, but AI technologies is kind of abused uh, in any industry, right? So, oh, everybody said I have AI technology, I have AI technologies. So honestly, right? So Becker is not a technology company. So now we're still a technology company, but we're not an AI company, right? So um, we don't develop our own AI technologies, but instead we adopted or we pay or license the AI technologies through a company called Center Labs in California. So this company is all they do is education AI, right? So we adopted the technologies, and basically these technologies will keep track or track all the interactions between our students and our systems, and also compare that against all the other students, like tens of thousands of other students that we have on the systems. and basically create a personalized review sessions or learning for each of the students, right? So basically, if you look at our CPA product, what you need to look at is if you can see the proficiency badge on the screen. So what you want to achieve is like the 2.5 star. So basically, after you get 2.5 star, a system will think basically will give you a grade. That means you are ready for the exams. Next slide, please. So here's the skill builder videos we talk about. So it come with, it has, we pair all our TBS questions with one of these skill builder videos. Next slide, please. Okay, here's the simulated exams. So we built our simulated exams basically exactly the same as what you will see on the actual exams, right? So even the instructions, the font, the functionalities, the layout and all that. So we're trying to make it basically are very close to the actual exams experience. So give you the additional confidence before you go for the CPA exams. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the with the two packages that we offer, right? So the first package, which is the most basic package, is the Advantage package. Okay, um, come with 24 months access to basically all the courseware and the materials. Okay, so it has over 7,000 multiple choice questions, over 400 task-based simulation questions. Like I said, each of the task-based simulation questions will come with a skill builder videos, and it has the annotated digital textbooks, videos over 190 hours of videos. So again, AI technology is included, similar exams, right? So it has mini tests, mini exams for which part. So like each part will come with 3 minute exams. So the mobile app, the flashcard, the Q&A database, and also the last thing is you also have access to the online academic support, which means if you have no questions, which you will study on your own. If you have any questions you want to ask, so then through the software, you can actually click, then send in your questions. Our subject matter expert in the US will get back to you within 48 hours. So this is the basic package. It will only give you access to 4 exams sessions, right? So the core exams, of course, and also one of the discipline exams you choose. Next slide, please. So here's a premium package. The difference is actually highlighted here, right? So the first one, instead of 24 months access, you will have unlimited access. But of course, unlimited access means subject to the backup policy, which is as long as you're still pursuing the CPA, so we'll continue to give you access. That's what they mean by unlimited access. Okay, in addition to the digital textbook, it also comes with the printed textbooks, right? The last thing is, so you also have the virtual live online classroom scheduling options. So that means if you want to study along with other people, but of course it's under the US time zone, you have this option to schedule that as well. Okay, so I think this is the end of my presentation. So I hope I didn't go overrun over too much. And I'll pass back to Mr. Maqbool on in terms of the cost in Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Ben, for your detailed and very knowledgeable presentation, and particularly sharing your own story, how you ended up going for USCP exam, which I heard first time from you as well. Okay,
Thank you.
so that's after from there a couple of more slides I'd like to share with the participants. One thing I want to say that you can it's not exams are available year round. You can make your own time sheet, exam sheet, like you take exam on 18th of September, and the next exam you can book on 24th or 25th of September. You can have in between 6, 7 days to revise everything. So you can have this with your exam schedule, okay, according to your convenience, and also having in between the time to revise everything, practice everything, okay. And now let's come to the cost. This is the cost in US dollar, which you have to pay to various states and the testing authorities, and then nothing included as far as the study package is concerned. You pay $240 for NASBA evaluation of your foreign credential, foreign qualification, and then from $1,000 to $1,800. Generally, you pay for the four part of the exam to take the exam, for four part to take exam. And Washington, you can see is 1509, and Guam is 1589. Okay, specifically we told you about Washington and Guam as well. So this takes you to subtotal, and then international testing surcharge. So this is the international testing surcharge is I think it is the 390 per section. Yes, it's 390 per section. And you have to pay if you are taking the exam at any international testing center. So total cost come to you the 2,800 to 3,600. On average, you can say $3,000 on average, and in certain states you can have a little higher. So this is the evaluation, examination, international testing surcharge. Everything is included there. Then next slide is your Becker study package price. For the advantage, the US price is regular price is 2,499 without hard books. As he said, advantage doesn't have hard books. So Pakistan discounted price, keep in view the Pakistan unfavorable parity rate. We got is $1,399 without books. And then the packet doesn't have the books, but I discuss, and if someone want a hard book, very few students want the hard book who are used to conventional study normally, like to have hard books. Then 75 per subject hard book can be make available to them as a concession, right? Otherwise, wanted package doesn't have the hard book availability. Premium package, you can see that the first advantage package as compared to US without the books, there's a $1,100 low price for Pakistan. And the premium package, which is 3,099 with the hard book, and you can have the same with the hard book 1,999, and in this way you can also have a $2,100 reduction there as well. And without the hard book, you can have a nearly $1,700. So this is the price of the package for Pakistan citizen, Pakistan long-term resident, you can call it. Okay, so that's the for all the four subjects. Okay, so then